We see your screen.
All right, perfect. Tori, thank you very much. And it's been a great pleasure to listen to the previous speakers at this truly very global conference. My name is Nicola Staub. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of CYBERA. And I'm very pleased and happy to share some of my experience and our thoughts on the topic of getting your money back. And of course, what we mean is here, especially for victims of cybercrime and scams, on how to get your money back. But just before I start to tell you a bit about my experience with that, about myself, before starting CYBERA, I was working as a public prosecutor in Switzerland. And of course, I didn't look as good as the gentleman on the left here, but my aim was the same, namely to find myself in a courtroom and prosecute and arrest criminals. The only thing is I really focused and found my passion in cybercrime. And so unfortunately, over the 5+ years, I tried to investigate and prosecute them. I almost never found myself in an actual courtroom prosecuting cyber criminals, because it's extremely difficult to catch them. And so I kept thinking, there must be more we can do to solve or tackle this cybercrime problem, and especially also to get money back from all the victims that lose these funds to cyber criminals. And so 18 months ago, we launched CYBERA, a startup. And so my reality today looks much more like the image on the right, which is a scene from the Netflix series Silicon Valley that I can very much recommend for anyone interested to also start a startup. And it's just what I want to show you with that is that we find the solution to tackle this problem very much needs technology. And that is why exactly our solution is and uses technology to tackle it and to help getting funds back. So what's the problem? And of course, this conference confirms it. Americans, and not just Americans, the whole globe is really losing billions due to internet crime. And what amazed me during my time as a prosecutor is how easy that is done. And what also amazed me is that the absolute majority of these kind of cyber crimes and scams, they involve a financial transaction. So obviously this means that there is a transaction happening from a bank account belonging to a victim to a bank account being controlled by cyber criminals, simply speaking. And so you see, I already mentioned bank 2 times, and that's why for us, the solution clearly lies also with the financial sector and the banks. And why that is so, I want to explain in a short example of a real case that happened when I was a prosecutor in Switzerland. And this case stayed with me because it's maybe a little bit of a cliche case for a Swiss prosecutor. It involves Swiss chocolate. And it involves a Swiss chocolate factory. So what happened? Well, for those who don't know, our delicious Swiss chocolate, the secret ingredient is milk. But of course, we also need cacao beans. And that Swiss chocolate factory, they order every 3 months or so, they order cacao beans from their vendor in Bolivia. And so very simply what happened, unfortunately, the email accounts got compromised and they got hacked, this vendor in Bolivia. And the criminals simply exchanged the bank details in the invoice when it was the time for the Swiss chocolate factory to pay the amount. And instead of the correct bank account, they paid funds to a bank account actually in the United States, in New York, where I'm based today, by the way. And they just paid this sum directly to the bank account being controlled by the cyber criminals. Now, what happened next? So this company, this chocolate factory, And the next day they realized what happened, and they basically asked this question. I'm not going to say it now, but basically, what do I do? How do I get my money back? This is the key question for so many victims asked today after they have become a victim and they want to just get that money back. I know we've seen a lot of numbers today already, but I just want to show you a couple more that we calculated, which takes into account underreporting. Every day, this question to some degree is asked about 10,000 times, that somebody has lost funds and they want their money back. The amount that is transferred every day is approximately 80 million that goes directly from a bank account to a bank account that is really controlled by cyber criminals and goes to kind of organized crime. And so how do I get my money back? Well, the money is with the banks, right? So for us, the bank is a crucial part to help get that money back. And I want to come back to the case with the chocolate factory when I was a prosecutor, because it showed me what can be done. And it's so far the only thing that we have realized that can be done to get your money back. So what happened? That chocolate factory realized one day later that funds were transferred to the bank account in New York. Luckily, they very fast turned to us, to me as a prosecutor and the police. And what we did is we immediately took that criminal complaint from that company. And we were lucky enough to know a person in the compliance department of the bank in the United States. So we immediately translated the information. We had the correct criminal complaint, and we sent it very fast to the relevant department at the bank where the funds were transferred to, and we alerted our colleagues in that jurisdiction in New York. And that fast, legally correct global reaction in that specific case led to about half of the amount, so half of $300,000 that were able to be blocked and ultimately given back to that Swiss chocolate factory. So this is the first thing that I saw, this fast global reaction. And unfortunately today, it doesn't happen in many cases at all. But it's really the single thing, and it's also recommended by Interpol that this is one biggest chance for you as a victim to get funds back. Now, the other part was very interesting in this case. We started a project within the Swiss police to analyze and to store data, and we compared them to some degree of previous cases. And in this case, we actually saw that this beneficiary bank account in the United States that was used to cash out funds, it had already been used for another transaction with another victim approximately 10 days ago. So what was very interesting, of course, is that this information was available, but it was not shared in time, and it was especially not shared with the relevant banks. So for me, it was clear that I saw another solution of if we could just share that information with the sending bank that the Swiss chocolate factory used and or the bank in the United States, then we could even prevent these funds from the victims of going out in the first place and give them back to the victim even much sooner. So as a prosecutor, I saw that these two angles, that is really where we can make a difference to get more money back to victims. And with CYBERA that we launched about 18 months ago, we want to do exactly this, and we want to do it at scale. And so we have invested approximately 1 million in pre-seed funds. We are backed by a former CEO of UBS, one of the largest Swiss banks. And we have used that money to build exactly these two functions in a platform. So 3 months ago went live, and we exactly do that. We help victims, companies and individuals who lost funds to check if it makes sense to react globally and fast with the correct global criminal complaint. At the same time, we use cybercrime data we share it directly with the bank, and we allow them to integrate this data into their transaction monitoring process. So the minute they know about a suspicious bank account, they can block any future transaction for victims to it. As I said, we just went live, but we're positively impressed that we were able to secure in 5% of the cases funds for victims. And of course, our aim is to become better and secure even more funds. And our goal is, in a few years from today, with relevant cybercrime data, to be able to help banks block at least every second transaction that normally would go out to criminal bank accounts. In the last
1 minute.
Yes, I'm almost done, sorry. I just want to mention here, in the last 18 months, we have been able to make significant progress. We're live and we're already integrated with first banks. And for us, partnerships are very important. And that's a big thank you to Jory. It's amazing to bring these people here together. And I hope I have enough time to follow up with everyone, because I see so many synergies here. And for us, not just law enforcement is key, and we're already working with them, but NGOs who are helping scam victims are key partners. And we already work with the largest one in Switzerland. And we are very interested, of course, to get that conversation going in other countries and to see how we can cooperate and have synergies. I'm almost done, Jory, and you don't see double already. This is my twin brother. It's just my team that I just want to present. We have Sudeep from the tech side who came to us and is building our global platform with experience from companies such as Facebook and the PhD in data analytics. And so I'm finishing here, aware of time, and thank you very much for your attention. These are my contact details, and I'm very interested to start engaging with as many as you as possible. And again, a big thank to you, Jory, for making this event happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicola. Please feel free to share your contact details in the chat. And I'm very happy that you are going to be part of the puzzle with the second most common question we get via ScamAdviser. I mean, the first question we always get is this a scam? And the second question is, how do I get my money back? And you are part of the puzzle of answering that question. Thank you very much.